Hey, Sun here. I'm a privacy and security researcher, and you're watching The Privacy Guides. Today's episode is about Twitter accounts being impersonated, and that became very personal when one of my friends was impersonated this morning. And honestly, I don't know for how long it's been going, but I kind of jumped down that rabbit hole and noticed how elusive those scammers are and how impossible it is to actually flag those accounts and fix the problem. Now, let me hold your hand, and we're going to have a look at this. That friend of mine is Pavel Rusnak. Hopefully the name, I said it right. Anyways, he's the co-founder of Trezor, a Bitcoin hardware wallet manufacturer. Now, obviously, he's a figure of influence on Twitter. Even though he doesn't have 500,000 followers, people do trust him. So he's a target. Now, what I noticed this morning kind of blew my mind. He reached out and said, hey, can you flag that fake account? And if you have a look at the handle here, it's PAVOLRUSNAK. Now, I know this is a legitimate account because I double checked it on his personal website, and he also follows me back. Now, obviously, that hints that this is a real account. Now, the really interesting thing is, and I am so happy I have this on tape, what you're looking at right now, that is what the impersonating page looked like before I reported it, and a bunch of others did as well, I guess. And the scammer then started hiding and moving on Twitter. Now, I thought initially that we had won, that this account had been taken down. Now, what I learned from Pavel is it hasn't. They're essentially changing the handles and changing the name. And apparently, this is very effective to counter Twitter, moderation or whatever. So essentially, looking at this here, this is the URL. It's essentially almost identical. If you have a look here, one would think it's the same. But what is really happening here is this is actually an I capitalized. So for some reason, Twitter doesn't use the Levenstein algorithm to detect permutations of letters. And when you try to report an account such as this one, apparently, even if you submit your ID, they don't do nothing about it and they deny it. Now, obviously, this is a very interesting scenario because the counterfeit account actually has more followers. Now, one would think that people are probably buying Twitter accounts with large amount of followers and are then changing the handles. And I didn't know we could do this as many times as one wanted. I do remember in the old days of Facebook that was not possible. So what has happened now is that scammer is aware that we're kind of going after them. And they've changed the handle to this. And as we mentioned that in a Twitter thread, they then switched to this and they blocked me, which is quite ironic. Now, obviously, we can switch this to private mode and have a sense that it's the same description here as Pavel. They changed the cover pictures because that was not very, it was kind of revealing too much. But we can see here that that's actually the same post and it's getting a lot of engagement, which is really, really, really scary. If we go here and have a look at Pavel's post, we can see that there's 47 reshares, 252 likes. Well, on this, there's quite a significant amount as well. So that's probably why Twitter is not doing anything about it. Now, if ever you've tried getting verified on Twitter before Elon's takeover, it's very difficult to be verified. Now, obviously, if you have 500,000 followers, it's probably easier. But I think figures of influence should be allowed to be verified. And the idea of making people pay $8 a month to be verified is a horrible idea. So I get it. Elon says he's for freedom of speech. I am absolutely for freedom of speech. The problem with freedom of speech in the context of technology is it's very easy to impersonate people. And sadly, even in the real world with deep fakes, it's becoming easier and easier to actually impersonate people in video. So unless you have someone in flesh in front of you and you know that person extremely well, everything you see online can essentially be bullshit trying to scam you. And in the context of crypto, going back here, it really blows my mind that people such as Pavel are not yet verified. Brands such as CoinKite and Coldcard are not verified, even though they applied many times to be. Now, that is something that threatens the very fabric of society. It threatens the notion of trust. And I honestly believe that, Elon, you bought this social media platform, and that comes with a huge amount of responsibilities. And one of them is to support free verifications to make sure that people on Twitter are safe. So that's all I have for you today. I'll see you soon. Bye.